I left my purse at the restaurant and rushed back for IT. Then the manager called me over and whispered, "I'll show you the security footage, but don't faint when you see it." What my husband did in that video made my legs turn to jelly. It turned out that, sometimes life throws you a curveball so twisted, so utterly depraved, it shatters everything you thought you knew. What if I told you that in one chilling security video, I saw my husband, my beloved Alex, do something so monstrous, it made my entire world crumble? You wouldn't believe what he, my mother-in-law, and even my supposed sister-in-law were secretly plotting against me. It all started on our 3rd wedding anniversary. Alex and I, along with his mother, Catherine, and his adopted sister, Jessica, were at this gorgeous 5-star restaurant in Manhattan's Upper East Side. Think crystal chandeliers, soft classical music, and laughter, our laughter, echoing through the room. I was sitting there, next to Alex, in an elegant dress, feeling like the luckiest woman alive. My health had been a bit rocky lately, lots of headaches and dizziness, but tonight I felt truly happy. Alex was so attentive, cutting my steak, holding my hand, asking if the food was good. Catherine praised me. Jessica poured my wine. Everyone seemed so loving. I genuinely believed he married me for love, not for my late father's vast corporation. As dinner wrapped up, Alex, always a gentleman, paid the bill. We were walking to the car, and the New York wind was biting, so he instantly took off his jacket and put it over my shoulders. Catherine and Jessica walked ahead, laughing. Everything felt perfect. But then, about 15 minutes into the drive, it hit me. My designer purse gone. My phone, wallet, all my important documents. Panic seized me. I'd left it at the restaurant. Alex, ever so calm, pulled over. He offered to turn back, but I saw Catherine looking so tired in the back seat. I felt bad. "No, it's okay," I told him. "I'll just grab an Uber." He hesitated, insisted on coming with me, but I convinced him. "The restaurant's safe, I'll be fine." He finally agreed, ordered me a car, and promised to wait for me at home. Back in the Uber, I felt a little silly, but also incredibly grateful. What a thoughtful husband. I pictured our future, maybe a child soon. My heart swelled with love. The car dropped me off, and the restaurant was much quieter now, lights dimming for closing. I hurried inside, hoping my purse was still at our table. But just as I stepped through the main doorway, a man in an impeccable suit, Mr. Roberts, the manager who'd greeted us earlier, suddenly approached me. His friendly smile was gone. His face was pale, tense, his eyes serious. Cold sweat beaded on his temples. He took my arm, a firm grip, almost like he was holding me steady. "Ma'am," he whispered, his voice trembling, "I apologize for my discourtesy, but there's something urgent you need to know." I was confused, trying to pull away. "My purse? Is it there?" He didn't answer. Instead, he led me to a door marked manager's office. Fear began to prickle. I thought maybe there'd been a robbery, but his sharp gaze compelled me to follow. Inside, the small office was lined with monitors displaying security footage. He locked the door. The click of the lock made my heart pound against my ribs. "What is this?" I stammered, my voice barely a whisper. "Why am I in a locked room?" Mr. Roberts took a deep breath, looking straight into my eyes. "I have to show you something," he said, "from the camera above your table. Please pray to be strong. Promise me you won't scream or faint. What you are about to see will change your entire view of the people you just had dinner with." My stomach dropped. With trembling hands, he pressed a button. My eyes glued to the largest monitor. It showed our table, just 20 minutes ago. A timestamp in the corner. He explained he was doing a routine check when he saw something suspicious. "Watch closely," he said. "The moment you went to the restroom." On the screen, my chair was empty. Only Alex, Catherine, and Jessica remained. At first, it looked normal. But then, the moment my back disappeared from view, Alex's demeanor snapped. That warm smile, gone, replaced by a cold, calculating expression. He glanced left, then right, ensuring no one was watching. My heart felt like it stopped. He quickly grabbed my purse from the table. I watched, horrified, as Alex skillfully opened my purse. He knew exactly where everything was. He pulled out a small white bottle, my vitamins, the iron supplements I took every night for dizziness. He opened the lid. Without a hint of hesitation, he emptied the entire contents of my vitamins onto a napkin. He crushed the napkin, stuffed it into his jacket pocket. Then, from his pants pocket, he pulled out a small plastic baggie filled with other pills, almost identical in shape and color. He poured them into my vitamin bottle, closed it, shook it gently to make it look normal, and put it back in my purse, exactly where he found it. The whole thing took less than a minute. I covered my mouth, stifling a scream. Tears streamed down my face, but I forced myself to watch. The most painful part came next. Catherine, the woman I considered my mother, had watched it all. Instead of being shocked, instead of stopping him, she covered her mouth, stifling a laugh. Her body shook with mirth. Then, she did something that made my blood boil. She tilted her head back, rolled her eyes, and waved her hands around, mimicking a mentally disturbed person. She pointed at my empty chair, still making those grotesque gestures. Jessica, the sweet adopted sister, leaned into Alex, patting his shoulder proudly. They then raised their glasses, toasting their vile success. Just before I reappeared on screen from the restroom, the video ended. The monitor went dark. The office fell into a terrifying silence, broken only by my ragged breathing. My world crumbled. My legs gave out. I would have collapsed if not for my white-knuckled grip on the desk. Dizzy, nauseous, utterly betrayed. The husband, mother-in-law, and sister-in-law I supported, I loved, they were a pack of wolves in sheep's clothing. Mr. Roberts quickly pulled up a chair. He placed a small bottle on the desk in front of me, my real vitamins. He explained that after my family left, he immediately had staff check the men's restroom trash. There, they found the crumpled napkin with my true medication. He then spoke in a serious tone. Before becoming a manager, he was a pharmacist. The pills Alex put in my bottle weren't instant poison, he explained, but strong psychotropics. Routinely consumed, they cause hallucinations, paranoia, confusion, loss of touch with reality. Their goal wasn't to kill me. It was to make me appear insane. Suddenly, the pieces clicked into place. The dizziness, the headaches, the whispers I'd been hearing at night, the shadows, the memory lapses, it wasn't illness. It was chemical manipulation. Alex wanted to drive me mad. If I was declared mentally incompetent, he, as my closest guardian, would control all my assets, my father's inheritance. They wanted my fortune without committing murder. It was so neat, so evil. My phone buzzed on the table. My husband. Alex's smiling face filled the screen. Hatred and disgust warred inside me. I wanted to scream, to run, to call the police. But Mr. Roberts stopped my hand. He shook his head. "Don't be reckless," he warned. "If you confront them now, they'll deny everything, destroy the evidence. And you, under the influence of those drugs, they'll just say you're having an episode." He told me to answer, to act normal, to give the performance of my life. I took a deep, shuddering breath, wiped my tears, and forced my voice steady. I pressed the green button. Alex's voice, full of false concern, now sounded sickening. "Did you find your purse? Do you need a pickup?" "It's fine," I said, making my voice sound a little weak, but calm. "Found it at the reception. Just waiting for a car. Don't worry." I hung up quickly before my emotions exploded. I looked at Mr. Roberts and nodded firmly. He handed me the bottle of real vitamins. "Keep this safe. And the other bottle, the one with the drugs, take it, but never actually take them." I clutched my purse, not out of fear of losing it, but as a shield. I walked out of that office not as a naive wife, but with a fire of anger burning in my chest, hidden behind a calm face. The war had begun. The Uber pulled up to my 2-story townhouse. It looked majestic, cozy, a symbol of success. But tonight, it felt like a giant, cold stage full of traps. I took a deep breath. I had to go in there and pretend. I opened the door with my spare key. Alex appeared from the kitchen, a wide smile on his face, as if no crime had just been committed. He hugged me, a gesture that normally brought comfort, now only sent shivers of disgust down my spine. "Are you feeling calmer now that you have your purse back?" he asked, his voice dripping with fake concern. I forced a slight, vacant smile. "Just a little tired," I mumbled. He led me to the sofa, and with practiced ease, picked up a glass of water and that vitamin bottle. He shook out a pill. Take your vitamin, honey. Your head won't hurt tomorrow. My heart pounded. That tiny pill was his weapon. I brought the glass to my lips, put the pill in my mouth, but didn't swallow it. I tucked it under my tongue, then drank deeply to convince him. Alex watched me intently, then smiled with satisfaction, patting my head. Good girl. I excused myself, saying I needed to rest. In the bathroom, I immediately spit the pill into a tissue and flushed it. I splashed cold water on my face. My reflection was pale, but my eyes radiated determination. I would not be weak. I lay on the bed, pretending to close my eyes. Soon, Alex came in, kissed my forehead, and whispered, "Good night." He left, closing the door softly. I waited 10 minutes, then silently got up. My thoughts went to the whispers I'd been hearing at night, calling my name, baby cries, murmurs. Alex and Catherine had convinced me I was stressed or imagining things. Tonight, I would find the source. I turned on my phone's flashlight, checking under the bed, the closet, the vents. Nothing. Then, my gaze landed on a large, ornate painting that Catherine had given us. I approached it, carefully lifted the heavy frame. There, hidden behind the wooden frame, was a small, black object with a faint blinking red light. A mini wireless speaker. My blood boiled. The ghostly whispers weren't my sick mind. They were recordings, played by my own husband, designed to disrupt my sleep and drive me insane. I photographed it, then put the painting back. My curiosity wasn't satisfied. I heard faint voices from downstairs. Tiptoeing, I crept down, avoiding the creaky steps. A dim light came from the family room. Alex and Jessica's conversation grew clearer. I hid behind a partition, peeking through a gap in a cabinet. Alex and Jessica sat together, too close. Her head on his shoulder, his hand caressing her hair. I wanted to vomit. The betrayal was deeper, dirtier than I imagined. Not just my fortune, but an affair too. Alex laughed softly. Emily took her dose tonight. Tomorrow, at the company meeting, it'll reach its peak. She'll humiliate herself, making it even easier to commit her. Jessica chimed in. When can we stop pretending to be siblings? I'm tired of being polite to that foolish woman. She couldn't wait to become lady of the house and send me to an asylum, planning a European vacation with my company money. Alex kissed her head. It'll all be over in less than 24 hours. Emily has no one else. She trusts us completely. I recorded that disgusting conversation on my phone. My hands trembled. Tears of pure hatred streamed down my face. I was alone in a den of thieves, but that knowledge gave me a new strength. I crept back to my room, lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. I wouldn't sleep tonight. I would map out my counterattack. Tomorrow, the real war would begin. The morning sunlight pierced through the curtains. I hadn't slept, but my mind was sharp. I heard Alex in the bathroom. It was time. I moaned softly, holding my head, pretending to wake in a daze. I sat on the bed's edge, deliberately unsteady, with a vacant stare. Alex rushed out, his face full of fake concern. I complained of a heavy head, still hearing whispers. He nodded gravely, hiding a cunning smile. You must be tired. Rest at home. And don't forget your morning medicine. I nodded obediently, tucking the pill under my tongue again. Once Alex was gone, taking Catherine and Jessica with him, probably to celebrate their early victory, I sprang from bed. The dizziness vanished. I called James, my late father's trusted lawyer. Come now, I instructed, through the back door. Don't be seen. Jessica was gone. The house was empty. Half an hour later, James arrived, worried. I led him straight to Alex's locked private office. I knew where Alex hid the spare key in a flower pot. We got in. The room was a mess of documents. I went to the small safe. Remembered Catherine's birth date was the combination. Click. It opened. What we found made James gasp. A draft of a conservatorship petition, stating I was mentally unfit, handing all my assets and voting rights to Alex. A false statement from a psychiatrist claiming paranoid schizophrenia. Then bank records. Transfers of astronomical sums from my company's accounts to Catherine and Jessica's personal accounts, disguised as vendor payments. Alex had been systematically draining my company to fund their lavish lifestyles, jewelry, designer bags, even a down payment on a luxury apartment. But the most shocking discovery was at the bottom of the pile. Jessica's passport. Her last name wasn't Alex's. Inside, a civil wedding photo, Alex and Jessica, 5 years ago. Long before he married me. Jessica wasn't an adopted sister or a distant cousin. She was his wife, or ex-wife. They brought her into my home under false pretenses. Alex married me solely for my fortune, while his true love was right there all along. I felt nauseous. How foolish I'd been for 3 years, serving that woman. James quickly photographed everything, stuffing crucial documents into his briefcase. Suddenly, the sound of Alex's car. He was back early. James's face went pale. He couldn't leave through the front. I quickly motioned him to hide in the large closet. He slipped in just seconds before the doorknob turned. I stood rigidly in the middle of the room, forcing my face blank. The door opened. Alex stood there, eyes narrowed. "Why are you in my office? How did you get in?" My heart hammered. Cold sweat drenched my back. I forced a vacant, confused smile. I heard whispers. I whimpered, telling me to look for you. I felt so lonely. I hugged his arm, whimpering like a child. The suspicion in his eyes faded, replaced by hideous satisfaction. He stroked my hair. "There's no one here." He guided me out, oblivious to James in the closet. "Get ready," he said gently. "Catherine's bringing a special meal for lunch to strengthen you for the meeting." I just nodded, inwardly preparing for the next act. The sun beat down outside, but inside, an invisible storm raged. After James slipped out the back, I sat on the living room sofa, trying to calm my racing heart. I knew the next act was coming. I had to be a better actress than them. Exactly at noon, Catherine's taxi pulled up. She got out, carrying lunch containers, a wide, sincere-looking smile on her face. I watched her from behind the curtain. She paused to greet the stray calico cat I often fed, but then shooed it away with a gentle kick, a flash of disgust on her face, before putting on her sweet mask. I rushed back to the sofa, hugging a cushion, putting on my listless face. The door opened. Catherine's shrill voice filled the room. She called me, my favorite daughter-in-law, making my stomach churn. She placed her things down, sat next to me, caressing my cheek. "How's my dear Emily today?" My head still feels heavy, I mumbled, the world spinning. She nodded, full of fake concern, then opened the containers. The fragrant aroma of spicy beef stew filled the room. My favorite dish. Normally I'd be thrilled, but today it smelled like death. I knew this lunch was critical. The shareholder meeting was this afternoon. They needed me chaotic, hallucinating, or unconscious, so Alex could take over. Catherine served the stew. It looked delicious, but I knew it held a much higher dose of drugs than the pill. "Eat, dear," she cooed. "I cooked this specially for you. It will calm your mind." Those sweet words were deadly snake venom. I looked at the plate. I couldn't refuse. She'd force me. I had to get rid of it. Quickly, I clutched my stomach, wincing. "I feel nauseous if I eat in here," I choked out. "Can I eat on the back patio for some fresh air?" She hesitated, eyeing me, then finally nodded, even offering to get cold water. The moment her back disappeared into the kitchen, I sprang up, rushed to the glass door. The calico cat was waiting. With trembling hands, I emptied the entire contents of the stew plate into the cat's bowl. The hungry cat devoured it. I scraped my plate clean, leaving only a little gravy stain, then sat on a wicker chair, trying to look full. Catherine returned with water, her face radiating a satisfaction she couldn't hide, seeing my empty plate. "You ate it all. The medicine in that stew will cure you soon," she praised. I just smiled faintly, knowing her words were true. The medicine would work, just not on me. 15 minutes passed. We chatted. Catherine started prying about Alex's safe. I pretended to be dazed and forgetful. Suddenly, a horrifying noise. The calico cat leaped high, screamed, then ran aimlessly, crashing into walls and flower pots. Its meows turned into heart-wrenching shrieks of pain and fear. Its eyes were wide, pupils dilated. It spun around, chasing its tail, then collapsed, convulsing on the patio floor. White foam frothed from its mouth. Catherine screamed, jumping onto her chair, her face ashen. Her body trembled violently. Not just from shock, but because she knew. She knew that horrible reaction was meant for me. The dose was too strong, even for a human, let alone a small animal. Fear began to creep into her heart. What if I had eaten it? Their plan would fall apart. They'd be charged with murder. I, still calm in my chair, looked at her with feigned innocence. Why is the cat acting so strangely? I asked, confused. I even approached the now weakening cat. Maybe it ate something poisonous outside. My words struck Catherine's core. She hastily pulled me away. It has rabies. We must go inside. Inside, she was restless, checking the clock, glancing at me suspiciously, waiting for the drugs to take effect. But I remained normal, just sleepy and weak, not convulsing like the cat. Perhaps the effect is different in humans, I imagined her thinking. Shortly after, Alex and Jessica arrived, Alex walking in with a confident stride, wearing an expensive suit I paid for. He gave Catherine a quick look. She nodded slightly, confirming mission accomplished. Alex smiled, stroked my head. Time to go to the office. I obeyed, letting Jessica choose my clothes, drab colors, messy hair, to make me look neglected for the investors. I looked in the mirror. I saw the gaze of a warrior ready to draw her sword. I let them dress me like a broken doll. The more broken I appeared now, the more dramatic my resurgence would be. As Alex took my arm, I glanced at the back patio. The poor cat was no longer moving. An innocent victim. I promised in my heart its suffering would be paid for in full today. The drive to the skyscraper office felt long, tense. Alex held my hand, the picture of a protective husband, but his palm was cold, sweaty. Jessica, in the front seat, exchanged meaningful glances with him in the rearview mirror. Catherine stayed home, still shaken. When we arrived, employees and security looked at me with pity. Rumors of my mental state had already been spread. They saw their elegant boss, now looking lost, disheveled. Alex led me to the executive elevator. Inside, he whispered, "Be calm. You don't need to say anything. Just sit and nod." He added that a private doctor was waiting in the boardroom, ready to give me additional vitamins if I felt dizzy. I knew what those vitamins were, a high-dose sedative injection, to make me pass out if I deviated from his script. The elevator doors opened. In the hall, a man in a white coat, Dr. Miller, stood with a medical bag, looking at me like a butcher eyes cattle. He nodded to Alex, equipment ready. I just lowered my head, hiding the gleam of anger in my eyes. The boardroom doors opened. Cold air, expensive coffee. A dozen important people, shareholders, board members, looked serious, tense. Silence fell. All eyes on me. Pity, disdain. Alex, full of confidence, guided me to the president's chair. He sat to my right, where the vice president usually sits. Dr. Miller sat on alert in a corner. Alex began, his baritone voice authoritative, empathetic. He thanked everyone, then with a fake sad face, spoke of my severe mental health disorders. He spouted complicated medical terms, fabricating stories of hallucinations, paranoia, emotional instability. He argued my leadership endangered the company. The room began to whisper, some nodding. He continued, stating that to save the company, he, as my legal husband and guardian, was offering to temporarily take over all my authority and voting rights through conservatorship. Jessica, in the back, quickly distributed fake medical documents and the draft power of attorney. Then Alex turned to me, his gaze intimidating, camouflaged by a gentle smile. "Does anyone have objections? Or wish to hear a few words from Emily, though I doubt she can speak coherently?" One older board member, loyal to my father, raised his hand. Alex tensed, subtly signaling Dr. Miller. He brought the microphone to my mouth, whispering softly, maliciously, "Say you agree, honey, or the doctor will give you the shot right now." It was then. I lifted my face. My vacant gaze, in that instant, became sharp, clear, full of authority. I straightened my back, discarding the sick persona. I pushed Alex's hand away, taking firm control of the microphone. Alex jumped in surprise. Dr. Miller, about to stand, froze at my piercing gaze. I spoke. My voice was strong, firm, and undeniably sane. Not a tremor of fear or confusion. "Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen," I began, polite but dignified. Thank you for your concern about my health. However, I want to correct a fatal mistake my husband has just communicated. I paused, letting the tension coil. Alex started to sweat, his face pale. He tried to interrupt. She's delusional. But I raised my hand, a gesture so commanding he fell silent. I am not insane, I continued, my voice resonating. I am not sick. I am not hallucinating, and I am fully aware of what is happening in this room. What you have seen as symptoms of mental illness all this time is actually the result of a systematic attempt to poison me using illegal psychotropic drugs. The boardroom erupted. Shareholders gasped, exchanged shocked glances. Alex panicked, shouting, "She's having an episode. She's delirious." He ordered Dr. Miller to act. Dr. Miller advanced with the syringe. But before he could touch me, the boardroom doors burst open. James entered, flanked by 2 uniformed NYPD officers and Mr. Roberts. I stood up, staring at Alex, who was now trembling. "I'm not the one who needs a doctor, Alex," I said, pointing at him. "You're the one who needs a lawyer. And you," I gestured to the shareholders, "all of you need to see who the real parasites eating away at this company are. James, please turn on the projector." The large white screen behind me slowly descended. Alex tried to run for the laptop, but the police blocked him. He was cornered, trapped in the web he himself had woven. I smiled faintly, a cold smile of victory. This decisive meeting wasn't the end of me. It was the end of his rotten charade. The projector screen lit up, ready to display the truth that would destroy his life forever. The hum of the projector filled the deathly silence. The bright white light hit the screen, silhouetting me, upright, unmovable. Alex, blocked by the police, was petrified, his face ghostly pale. He wanted to scream, to stop it all, but his tongue felt numb. He knew what was coming. I signaled James. He nodded, pressing play. The first video was the restaurant security footage. The sharp quality showed every face clearly. The shareholders leaned forward, squinting. On screen, the seemingly harmonious family table. Me getting up. This was the beginning. Alex's movements were clear, irrefutable. Looking left and right like an amateur thief, then grabbing my purse. A collective gasp rippled through the room as they saw him dump my vitamins, replace them with strange pills. So planned. So cold. The loving husband facade shattered. He was a cunning con man, poisoning his own wife. The video continued. Catherine's face, zoomed in, the old woman known for her piety, laughing heartily, mimicking a madwoman, mocking her absent daughter-in-law. Jessica, clearly seen patting Alex's shoulder. The video was silent, but their body language screamed their evil conspiracy. The boardroom erupted in angry murmurs. Some board members shook their heads in disgust. Alex tried to defend himself, shouting that the video was computer manipulation, AI, a fake. But I gave him no chance. James, play the second file. This time, an audio recording. A brief static, then Alex's voice, clear, undeniable. It was the conversation with Jessica from last night. Alex, arrogant, laughing, saying I'd taken the poison, would soon go crazy. Boasting about locking me in an asylum to control my assets. Jessica's voice, fawning, talking about their European vacation, their official marriage after getting rid of me. Their cruel words echoed, shattering all his accusations. Jessica, white as paper, tried to hide her face. I stepped forward, standing before the screen. The pills my husband introduced were dangerous psychotropic substances. I stated, calm but emphatic. Designed to damage the nervous system, cause permanent hallucinations. I showed lab results, proving the pills in my purse were those substances. And my own clean blood test, proving I was perfectly healthy. Before their shock could subside, James displayed the next slide. Financial data. Evidence of hundreds of thousands of dollars transferred from company accounts to Catherine and Jessica. Jewelry, luxury bags, cars, apartment down payments, all using my money, embezzled by Alex forging my signature. The last document, Jessica's passport, and the photo of her secret wedding. Alex's biggest secret revealed. Alex's world collapsed. His legs gave way. He fell back into his chair, a vacant stare. 3 years of planning, destroyed in 15 minutes. He looked for an escape. Police guarded the door. Dr. Miller was already being detained. Alex was alone. An older board member stood, slammed the table. He pointed at Alex, trembling with anger. Traitor! Swindler! He demanded a vote of no confidence, Alex's immediate arrest. The room became a public trial. Shouts of anger. Jessica cried hysterically, screaming she was just following Alex's orders, trying to save herself by sacrificing him. It was pathetic, but satisfying. I watched the chaos without expression. No overflowing joy, just deep relief. The heavy burden was lifted. Alex, who I once adored, was now a small, pitiful criminal. I approached Alex, the police making way. He looked up, begging for forgiveness, trying to reach for my hand. He said he was wrong, pressured by his mother, that he loved me. But I pulled my hand away, disgusted. His charade was over. I leaned close to his ear, whispering so only he could hear. The game wasn't really over, Alex. I reminded him of a small thing in the car, a trivial detail he'd missed. My whisper was the key to hell for him. One last surprise, the dessert to my elegant revenge. Alex remained motionless, processing my whisper. The bottle of mineral water he'd drunk on the way to the office. The sealed bottle he'd finished. Nerves and thirst overwhelming him. I took a step back, a faint, meaningful smile on my face. Then, loud enough for James and the police to hear, yet still terrifyingly intimate for Alex. As a devoted wife, I couldn't bear to see my husband tired and thirsty. So, before we left, I prepared a special vitamin in your water. The exact same vitamin you prepared for me. But I gave a much more generous dose because I knew you'd need extra energy for this day of judgment. Alex's heart stopped. His hands flew to his neck as if to vomit the water. He remembered the bitter taste, ignored it. Now he knew. The psychotropic substance was circulating, waiting to detonate his sanity. Suddenly, the room felt impossibly hot. The cool air burned his skin. He yanked at his tie, his breathing ragged, his vision blurred. The faces around him began to distort. My face, beautiful and calm, elongated. My eyes grew large, red. I was transforming into a monster. He rubbed his eyes, but the vision became more real. Shareholders were fanged monsters. The long table, a giant snake coiling around him. The floor shook violently. He screamed hysterically, jumping from his chair, crashing into a police officer. Demons! They want to eat me! He pointed at me, shrieking I was a witch. The attendees recoiled. They saw a man losing his mind, screaming at nothing. Alex fell to the floor, crawling, covering his head. He babbled, confessions mixed with absurd fears. He screamed for his mother, for her to shoo away the black cats circling his legs. He yelled about money, about the safe, about poisoning me. Everything poured out uncontrollably. The hallucination forced him to vomit all his hidden truths. What an irony! The script of madness he prepared for me was now playing out for him. Jessica, seeing Alex, panicked. She tried to run, tripped, and fell. Police handcuffed her. She cried, watching Alex roll on the floor like a man possessed. It was the strongest proof for everyone. Alex was unstable, not me. Dr. Miller, already secured, shook his head. He knew the symptoms. Acute overdose, no instant antidote. Alex would suffer for hours, maybe days. The doctor's career was over. I stood still amidst the chaos, a stone pillar in a storm. I looked at Alex. Pity, yes, but buried under the pain he'd caused. He crawled towards my feet, not for forgiveness, but thinking my legs were a pillar to shelter behind. He hugged my legs, crying like a baby, snot and tears soaking my dress. I let him feel how low he was. James signaled the police. 3 officers struggled to restrain Alex. He kicked, punched blindly, screaming they were demons dragging him to hell. They finally handcuffed him. I stepped back, straightening my dress. I looked at the petrified shareholders. I apologize for the inconvenience and drama, I said, my voice calm, authoritative. The meeting is postponed. The company will be cleansed of all criminal elements. As Alex was dragged out, he turned, looking at me one last time. In his hallucinating vision, I shone brightly, dazzling, like the angel of death signing his sentence. He let out a long scream of despair, echoing down the hall, marking the end of his career, ambition, and sanity. I sighed deeply. Silence returned. James patted my shoulder. I smiled faintly. Mr. Roberts, in the corner, nodded with respect. My physical battle was over. The struggle to reclaim my heart and company had just begun. But the real poison, those toxic humans, had been expelled from my life forever. The chaos subsided. My tense shoulders relaxed. The scent of freedom filled the air. James took control. He passed out documents proving my legitimacy, my sanity. I apologized again, assuring them operations would continue. A full audit would be done. My professional demeanor restored their confidence. They looked at me with new respect, offering support, condemning Alex. Meanwhile, across the city, a false peace enveloped Catherine's luxurious house. She sat on her sofa, enjoying tea, feet propped on the coffee table, a dirty habit she never dared when I was around. Her face glowed, imagining Alex triumphing, me in an asylum. She pictured diamond jewelry, renovating her room. She glanced at the clock. The meeting must be over. She reached for her phone to call Alex or Jessica. But before she could dial, a loud banging shook the front door. Not a polite knock. Rough thuds. Shouts. Her heart leaped. The teacup shattered. A bad feeling assailed her. Perhaps debt collectors, she thought, angered. She walked to the door, intending to scold them. But when she opened it, the insults died in her throat. 3 uniformed police officers, 2 detectives. A patrol car, blue lights flashing, drawing neighbors out. Catherine stumbled back. Pale as a corpse. What do you want? She stammered. An officer showed an arrest and search warrant. Catherine, you are under arrest for attempted premeditated murder, fraud, embezzlement, and criminal conspiracy with Alex and Jessica. She shrieked hysterically, denying it, shouting she was a devout mother, crying, trying to manipulate them. They were unmoved. They searched her house. In her closet, luxury jewelry with my company's receipts, bottles of herbal medicine mixed with sedative powder, and in the kitchen trash, a container of rat poison and leftover cat food, identical to what was found in the dead cat on my patio. My housekeeper had seen the dead cat, reported it. Catherine was dragged out in handcuffs. She struggled, insulting me, calling me ungrateful. The neighbors, to whom she boasted of her fake wealth, now looked with disgust. The shame was worse than the cuffs. She was put in the police car like a common criminal. At the police station, I gave my statement with James. I saw Jessica through a one-way mirror. The fashionable, arrogant young woman now looked disastrous, makeup streaked, hair matted, eyes swollen. Seeing me in the hallway, she banged on the glass, screaming for help, begging me to drop the charges, claiming Alex threatened her. She wanted to warn me. I gave her a fleeting glance, expressionless. Crocodile tears. She was just as evil. James delivered the final blow. All of Alex's assets frozen. A civil lawsuit to seize Catherine and Jessica's assets to cover my company's millions in losses. They wouldn't just rot in jail, they'd be in absolute poverty. No money for expensive lawyers. That night, I returned to my large, empty house. No fake laughs. No whining. No manipulative greetings. I sat on the sofa where I'd been lied to so often. The room felt spacious. Loneliness crept in, then faded, replaced by extraordinary tranquility. It felt like I'd been cured of a deadly chronic illness. I closed my eyes, letting a single tear fall. Not of sadness for my lost husband, but release for the suffering I'd endured. That night, for the first time in 3 years, I slept soundly. Without fear. Without whispers in the walls. Without sleeping pills. I slept in the embrace of the truth I had won. A month passed. The city returned to routine. Alex and his family became top news, the most shameful fraud scandal. But like all sensational news, public attention moved on, leaving the guilty to reap what they sowed in silent suffering. This morning I sat in my office. Sunlight streamed through the window, creating a halo around me. I wore an elegant navy blue suit. My face was fresh, healthy. No dark circles. My cheeks had a natural blush. I read James's final report, the court verdict, the asset seizures. A faint smile touched my lips. Alex was sentenced to 12 years in a maximum security psychiatric prison. He screamed alone at night, calling for me, for his mother, living in permanent fear of the monsters he himself had created. The man who adored his appearance was now skin and bones, shaved head, lost gaze. He lost everything: looks, sanity, freedom. Jessica got 8 years for forgery and complicity. In women's prison, she, accustomed to an easy life, was now working in the laundry, washing other prisoners' clothes with her delicate hands. She cried, asking for face cream. Catherine's fate was no less tragic. 5 years. Her luxury home foreclosed, all her possessions confiscated. She had nothing. Even distant relatives abandoned her. The old woman, obsessed with status, now spent her old age behind bars, branded as a wicked mother-in-law. I closed the file. No explosive satisfaction, just quiet gratitude. Justice had been served perfectly. I stood, picked up my purse, the same purse I forgot that night, but now I held it with a firm grip. I had a lunch appointment, not with clients, but with the man who saved my life. My car drove through Manhattan, towards the restaurant where it all began. It was bustling now, its reputation soaring thanks to the advanced security and integrity of its management. I entered, a strange sense of nostalgia. No fear, no trauma. This place witnessed betrayal, but also my rebirth. Mr. Roberts was waiting at table number 12, but this time set for 2. He greeted me with a warm, sincere smile, not formal, but like a friend. I returned it with gratitude. We sat, special dishes cooked by the chef under Mr. Roberts' instruction. I opened the conversation. I took a thick envelope from my purse. Not money, but a deed. I explained I'd bought a majority stake in the restaurant. And as the new owner, my first decision was to appoint him chief operating officer with significant shareholding. I wanted him to run it completely. He was the most honest, dedicated person. Mr. Roberts was stunned, eyes welling. He gently refused, but I insisted. You not only saved my life from poison, I told him, you saved my future from the poison of life. Without him, I might be in an asylum, truly insane. He finally accepted, emotional. We toasted with orange juice, healthy, pure, no poison, no deceit. To a new life, I said softly, raising my glass, and to the good people God sends just in time. Mr. Roberts nodded. To Mrs. Emily, the strongest woman I have ever met. Lunch proceeded with laughter. The burden lifted completely. I glanced at the security camera in the corner, recording Alex's crime. I smiled faintly. I promised myself I'd be more careful, but I wouldn't close my heart. I would move forward, run my company, enjoy my life, a completely free woman. After lunch, I left the restaurant. The afternoon wind blew, gently. I looked up at the clear blue sky. The images of Alex, Catherine, Jessica slowly faded, turning into dust from the past that no longer hurt. I got into my car, started the engine, and drove away. In the rearview mirror, Mr. Roberts waved. I smiled, put on my favorite music, and drove towards a bright future. Alone but not lonely. Because now I had myself back completely. And that was more than enough. This journey was, well, it changed everything. I faced my deepest fears and found strength I never knew I had. What do you think about what happened? And more importantly, what would you have done in my shoes? Tell me in the comments. I really want to know.